Hey guys, how's it going? I got a little bit of a break. Yeah, it's shop warming up. I let the fire go out yesterday, and boy, it got cold out here. I did manage to get to Joe's today and pull this thing. I knew I pushed the compression far, far past what it should have been. I really didn't want it past 235, and it's at 270, but I thought, what the heck, it's together, it's running. It did pick up in the cut, but as far as the dyno can see, I gained nothing. It's pretty much the same as it was with the piston swap, other than it doesn't fall off as much when I'm pushing on it in the wood. But for what I gained on that, I lost in usability because it gets too hot. I mean, by the fourth dyno pull, the top of this thing was just cooking. In fact, I stopped anymore on it. Was starting to show heat saturation bad. Like, I mean, we were losing a tenth after every pull after that. I think there was one wasted pull in there that probably would have been above and probably where I would have want the power to be at on its first pull, but such is life. I knew this thing was going to be heat saturated. This thing would probably run on, alcohol really good with mega high compression like that, or it would probably run on straight diesel fuel too, honestly. But like I said, we'll be going back into it. I'm going to throw the wheel back on it and figure out where the exhaust is. I've been all afternoon. I've been thinking about my next, and it's probably more than 270 now that it's got some, I look like a monkey in a football trying to start that thing at Joe's, even pushing the compression release in. Because you'd get a quarter turn and it would pop back off. It went too far. So I think I'm gonna figure out where the exhaust is exactly at again. I think I'm gonna give it a little bit more exhaust duration to bleed off some, and then I'm probably gonna chuck that piston up and cut some off that piston. Maybe even carve a little bit out of the chamber. But I'm not gonna dive back into this. I've got parts cooking in the ultrasonic cleaner for the 372. I've got that one. I got to steal the top end off for this build because I'll be converting that one to a 365. I did talk to the gentleman I'm building this off for, and he's fine with that aftermarket top cover and thing. He said it's just a cover, but he did not want an aftermarket cylinder in it, which I don't blame him because 90% of the time them things are junk. I got a pile. I really don't like the plug wire on this one. This one's got a pretty decent plug wire. I might trade out plug wires. I want to wash this black coil up and probably use this black coil instead of the blue coil. I got a whole pile of parts in here soaking in gas. This piece can go throw it into the parts washer. I think I got room in there for that little piece. I'll wash that oil pump last. I'll probably wash this tank last. What I'll probably end up doing is getting everything cleaned up, get my little workstation cleaned up here because my other workstation's screwed and the welder's got crap on it. I got cordless hole punchers stacked all over the other table that YouTube seems to throw a fit about, so can't show that, but yeah, I think I'll get this stuff cleaned up, and then I'll get the crank and crankcase together, probably get the tank on it, get this thing all together to where I'm ready for the top end. I'll leave the clutch and stuff off it so I put a wheel on it, and then I will get to porting this thing, get this thing done, probably do some test cuts. On another positive note, well, if you ask the wife, it's not positive, but I told her that I'd slack off on buying cordless hole punchers or things that identify as cordless hole punchers. But I did not tell her I would not stop buying chainsaws, so I did buy another 7310 today with money that I had set aside for another cordless hole puncher. But besides that, I wanted another stock one. It was a pretty nice shape 7310 that Joe had there. He bought it and stole parts out of it to complete his stroker build for, I think, when he was trying to run it Sawfest there, and parts have been on back order. But I have another part saw that's got, I believe, all the parts that are missing off that one. So I was thinking about just going right in and importing it, but then it's like I'm still dabbling and doodling with this one, and it'd be kind of nice to have another stock 7310 sitting around that we could do comparisons to and stuff. And yeah, and then when we get into that one, maybe I'll dive in on that one with not really port work. Maybe we'll do a few things with that one later on the channel to see what we could do to improve its performance without necessarily porting it, for the people that are too scared to port their saws or whatever. You know, because I personally feel these saws have to be ported when you buy them stock. Stock, they're a turd. They're straight up turd stock. They, you know, but you port them, and you put between 8 and 8.5 horse, like the one I have sitting up there is the 8.5 horse one. Yep, that one hurts Steel fanboys' feelings because that saw stuffs a 500i in the dirt, and you know, does a good job at it too. But then, you know, don't get me wrong, I like Steels too, but it just cracks me up how them diehard Steel loyalists get so upset, whether it be a Husqvarna or Echo, if it beats their brand of saw. And I'm not really brand loyal. I mean, you guys know I like Echo. You guys know I like some Husqvarnas. I don't like all Husqvarnas, but I like some. Same with Echo. I don't like all Echoes either. 7310's a good one. 4910, 501, 2511, 620. You know, I like all them. I don't really care for the 590. They should have just offered the 620 at the 590 price and not made the 590, in my opinion. But you know, just like these things, when Echo first come out with these, because I've bought in, what, 3-4 of these brand new. The very, very first one, I think, was right around 650-ish or so when I had my discount going. I used to have a fleet discount for Echo, and it seemed like after the discount and you caught it on the sale days or whatever, it seemed like you could have one of these with a 20 or 24 inch bar for, it was like $650. That was a smoking deal, because back then you could buy this thing and then you could pay to have it ported and still be under the cost of a 462 or 572. And this thing with a good 8 horse or 8 horse plus build, that I've had 0 failures. I've done a few 7310s for people where I juiced them up into that 8 horse range, and they work the piss out of them, and have had absolutely zero failures with them. So they're a good platform. But when you get this for $650 when it first come out on sale, you could was what, around $375, $350 for port work for most people back then. So you could, you know, have $900 to $1,000 into this thing ported and had money left over, you know, versus you spend $1,200 on a 462 or whatever, and then pay to have it ported your, you know, way out to lunch. And then the second new one I bought was $750-ish, $785, something like that. Still pretty good deal. Wasn't too upset about that. And then the third one was $850, $895, something like that. And that started getting into the, I think that's the you know, Echo should have stopped it there, but these things are $1,200 now, and for what the saw makes for power stock for $1,200, it is not a deal. Echo sure shot themselves in the foot on that. I think they had, just like the 4910s were absolutely the best bang for their buck. Awesome saws. They I don't care what people say other than the aluminum handle. They're the same saw as the 501. And I don't justify the aluminum handle and a little bit of color changes and a clear spark plug boot worth it, and the stupid wire captive bar nuts. I would have think I'd rather seen them stop the 501 and keep production on the 4910, but no, they killed the 4910 and kept the 501, which I'm thankful they kept one of the two because they respond the same to port work. That's my favorite chassis 50cc saw, so thank God they're still making it. It just sucks that the 501's like $250 more than the 4910. I can remember back with that dealer discount, I used to be able to get them 4910s with the discount, the fleet discount and everything on sale or whatever for like 270, 285 bucks out the door, and then it kept creeping up. And I think the last brand new one I bought on a 4910 was like $399, which I still thought was a pretty decent deal. But the 501s are, 500 plus. So it just, this saw, in my opinion, ported, if it's brand new and ported, yeah, it's worth $1,200 all day long. But in stock form, no. On the plus note, your bearings probably aren't going to shit out of this like they would a 5 Series. Every tree service that I deal with that's got 5 Series saws, whether it be the 550s, the 562s, or the 572s, they all shit crank bearings out after so many hours. 462s seem to be holding up pretty good. Steel's reworked them a couple different times. I've only ever built one 462, and it was a fun, strong saw. But the same crap I did to the 462 only made like 7.5 horse, where if I did the same stuff to this, I was getting 8.5 horse. So these responded better to the port work. And I am not done with this. We will be going back into it, changing things around. And like I said, this is a salvage cylinder on this thing, so I don't care if I destroy the piston and cylinder. I don't care. We're doing things to this one. If it ends up not being happy, maybe I'll have to bite the bullet and give up on my quest on it, and then I'll just stuff an 8.5 horse build into that other brand new piston and cylinder I got sitting over on the shelf, and I'll just build this thing just like my other work saw that's so much fun to cut with. It's just I've been using this one as a test platform. But I want to get this 372 done, and then dive back into this one, and then put the parts that are missing on that other one that's like new looking. And then that way we got a test one. I'll have the 8.5. We got this one to play with, and then a stalker. As soon as the weather ever warms up, it's like 10, 12, 14 degrees outside. I'm not freezing my butt off to try to make a quick cut video on frozen cold logs for nothing. But yeah, I knew I was too hot on the compression on this, and probably what I'll do is raise the exhaust, take some off the piston, bolt the cylinder back on dry, pull it over a few times, see where the compression lands, make a judgment call, pull it back off, cut a little more off. I really want this no less than 180. The 160 it had with the other piston was not enough. 180 to 190 is probably going to be the saw's sweet spot, but I don't want more than 220, I think. Especially seems how I want to make this run on 87. So, like 372s, I've gotten my best performance out of them between 180 and 200 pounds. The ones I've pushed past 220 actually started working against me on these. So I typically like around 180, 190 on 372s. But this saw behaves a little different. So, but yeah, it's got. And if I was to try to, now, if I was running pipe or whatever, then the compression is totally different. Then you actually want to lower your compression if you're running a pipe. If I was going to run a pipe on this, I'd probably want between 155 and 160. I was going to run a pipe on it. But, yeah, So we'll be going back into it, tweaking with the duration a little bit. I can't remember exactly where the roof was on that. Say if it's at 100, I'm probably going to bump it to 96 to bleed off some compression. If it's sitting at 98, then I'm probably going to bump it to 96, bleed a little bit off. But I don't want to lose my pull on that thing. Probably not going to go higher than 96 on the exhaust roof on that for my testing. I cannot, for the life of me, I can't remember where the exhaust is. I cut so much off the base on this thing to make that piston swap work for me on it. I don't remember if I even said what the numbers were on it in the piston swap video. I'd have to go back and look, but it doesn't matter. It's 10 minutes, I can have it apart, and we'll bleed some of this insane old compression off. But I thought it'd be cool just to test it, so. But that's what we'll be puttering on. We'll be going back and forth to the house, dealing with Dad, and running the ultrasonic machine, and washing parts. So hopefully by this weekend I can assemble that 372 is what I'm hoping, if I can get enough time out here. But I wanted to get you guys a dyno result video. That's the downside when you go past a certain point on compression. Heat becomes a huge factor. And yeah. Plus side, I've already lightened this piston up tremendously. If I start cutting more off it to bleed off that compression, it's only going to get lighter. So I haven't pulled the muffler to look at it yet, but we haven't nuked it yet. I think 2 or 3 more dyno pulls and she probably would have melted down on me there. It was getting pretty warm. I didn't bother trying to tune it or nothing on the dyno. It was getting hot enough where it was starting to ignite the charge before the spark plug was even wanting to where I wanted it to spark at. So such is life. I am going to call the Echo dealer tomorrow and order up probably 4 more gaskets. I need gaskets. So I'm going to order up some gaskets for this. I don't know, depending on the price of them, I might order 6 or 7 of them. But yeah, so this is going to be tucked back here until I get time for it, and then I got in that depot box right there. Was the other one I bought, and then I got the parts. Other parts went down in that box down there next to the 400. So yeah, and then that one's gonna be, I gotta find a sticker. Somebody sliced this off, took the X-Torque off it, so I'll probably run this rewind, but I'm gonna pull that sticker. I need to get a 365 sticker for it. This is 365 case, and I've got a gorgeous 365 48 millimeter OEM cylinder that I want to run on this, and I've got the actual Zama carb for 365 sitting right here. But, I don't know if that's what every 365 that's in this vintage that I've ever dealt with that was low top had the Zama on it. So I've got, instead of the Walbro, I have the 365 Zama carb, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that's smaller bore. No, that's X-Torque. No, that is not the right carb. That might be my 346. I think that's my 346 carb. Maybe I don't have a Zama. Maybe I used it. Yeah, it's got the spring on it. That's my 346 carburetor. That goes to my 45cc 346. Okay. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to run a Walbro. I've got a Highlight carb. I really don't want to run that, but I could have swore I had a freaking Zama carb. Well, maybe it's in that box. That whole box of stuff there is 372, and I got a lot of digging around to do. This whole box is 372 as well. Got a whole baggie of carburetors in here. I think these are all aftermarket ones that had issues, so I get about a 1 in 5 shot with them things working on them aftermarket ones. But got a 390 carb. It's aftermarket. This whole box here is 372 stuff. That's 372 stuff. That box down there is 372 stuff. And I got a couple more 372 things down there. So, I don't know. If I don't have a carb, I'll buy a carb for that, because I need this. I need that Walbro right there for this guy's saw. But I do have, I know that's a functioning working carburetor. That's the next torque. I don't want to run that. Maybe this one will be good. It still has all the limiters and stuff on it. I don't know. I could have swore I had one of these that was a Zama. The Zama model for 372 around here. I might have bolted it on that one clone that had the OEM guts in it and got rid of it. Hope I didn't. But I know I've got a couple brand new carburetors in there too, but they're aftermarket. But I don't know. I've jibber jabbered on here enough. Oop, well, knocked my camera over, so I'm gonna get that ultrasonic machine going. I'm going to start pulling parts out of the gasoline, blowing them off. I just want to get cleaning parts. I got a buttload of parts to wash. I'm going to set this back up there so I'll use that. I have a brand new Meteor piston that Ryan from Wolf Creek Saw Shop hooked us up with for that as well. That's what my goal is. I've got that pretty rowdy 365 down there. And I mean, that thing hangs right with, you know, a very sporty 372. I really can't tell much difference cutting between that and a 372, and that's got a 48 millimeter on it as well. But I think I've got a skirt coated piston, pop up, and a couple other things done to that one. But I want to build this one into a 372 or 365 to see if I can beat my other one. That's my goal. And I think he's got an X-Torque handle. That looks like an X-Torque handle because it's a lot taller. I don't know. I think I got another OEM handle floating around here somewhere. Yeah, that handle's taller than the one that's down there. So, I don't know. If you run big, thick gloves in the wintertime, that's not a bad thing. But if you're trying to go for... I want this to look... I want it to look everything like a 365 when I'm done with it. This ain't the muffler mod that I want for this saw, so I'm going to use this muffler on that one. So I'm just getting rid of that other one. But, I need this piece too. I'd like to convert this to low top. I have an aftermarket air filter and aftermarket piece for low top, but I don't have an OEM low top. Well, I don't know, my other 365's high top. Maybe we'll just run this one as a high top too. I guess it doesn't matter much. But yeah, I've jibber jabbered on here enough, guys. But yep, so I see no difference. It was only a few hundredths of horsepower difference between them, and the damn dyno sheets looked almost identical to each other with that piston swap. The only thing I noticed, I get more heat and I can push on it harder in a cut. That's about the only thing I noticed with that 7310. So we will dive back into that when I'm done. I might even do this 365. I just noticed the case is broke right here on this one. That's a bummer. Yeah, we might be splitting the case on this one. Maybe I can try to repair that. I'm not as good at doing up that magnesium as Brandon Cass is. That boy can really weld up magnesium. His work is phenomenal, but I might be able to get in here and die grind all that stuff out, decrease it. Maybe I'll attempt to fix that, pull the rewind off it, and coil and stuff out of it. I didn't. A little bit bummed about that. I've got $500 into this saw. Pop rivet here. I don't know what's up with that either. Take a peek at that. I didn't really look at this too good. I just looked at pictures of it and okay, I think I know what they're trying to do with that. I guess that's not that big of a deal. Somebody built like a spacer here. So I guess if you were to spit your chain and lose your clip, that you don't lose your. That's what that's looking like to me. So you won't spit your clutch drum and stuff off. I guess that's not a bad thing for a work saw. Yeah. I'm going to try to weld that case up, but I mean, it's technically what that is superficial. The cover bolts down here and would stop it, but you know, if that thing vibrates enough, it'll eventually break off up here. So maybe I can pull the rewind and actually TIG weld it up from the back side, and then grind it up so it won't be that noticeable. But I don't know. Another project for the channel, but I've blibber blabbered on here enough. You guys take it easy and have a good one.